My dad, well, I guess I lived in Connecticut when I was
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's one of those like.
Oh, where did I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh,
You didn't hide the box today.
I did not.
yeah, the grocery store you can walk to.
I will be tempted.
That's great. It's a habit for me.
Sure, sure.
Whole Foods and Rich.
Well, I often in my life I've had so much structure, stuff I had to do.
Oh,
And one of the things in therapy 20 years ago, I learned to be on time. 30 years ago. No, it goes by fast. That's funny. It's, yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's actually, you don't live far, some kind of, well, I don't either. I mean, I go anywhere. So that's, the corner, so.
With the hardware stuff.
Yes, they open the nice cafe place. Yeah, they open the morning, the store, so they have an entrance on basically as to the cafe. So you gotta be out there, you got a great singer coming. Sing for me today from the chapel. Just at the corner. My husband's gonna come too. It's so good. Where they used to have dancing and.
Yes.
You always hope you never forget. My husband did a lot of so I said, if you're coming, I want you to plan to have something to say in case he forgets. I learned you always have to have a plan B when you're, you know that. A special feature. I'm the pianist. The pianist and organizer. I got three others. I have to make sure that lady has churches. She's got some.
She's dancing somewhere.
So I sent her a note and I talked to her. But she doesn't know me. So I called a friend of mine. It's also one of my leaders in the chapel. And I said, I've already said it twice. You were just
So he said,
she said, you sure you don't want to do that?
take it out with that.
I taught her what you taught her.
Like at the counter or you sit down?
I sit down.
Good morning. It's a wonderful Wednesday, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll begin in kind of a standing posture. We'll use some now mindful movement this morning. We will do a short body scan after the movement. So if you need to grab something, maybe to support the legs for the body scan or a blanket, know that that's kind of coming out. You want to avoid walking around or something like that. So mindful movement. We'll do mostly a lot of stuff on the floor today. And you don't have to get on the floor. Again, just paying attention to your body, following mid-sleep. If we're practicing awareness and attention to our body, we know maybe where our edge is and we won't go beyond that. If we're kind of up in our head and we want to kind of strive to get in a certain position, or we look at our neighbor and we're like, we want to do what they do, that's when we can maybe hurt ourselves. So just, you can close your eyes through much of the practice, pay attention to your body. Again, you can pass on some of these poses. If it doesn't feel right for your body, get in a position that feels comfortable for you. It may be the chair, and just visualize, imagine the posture. Sometimes the body doesn't know the difference. Occasionally, I might invite you to practice an ocean breath. So let's practice that a little bit so this kind of makes sense. And it's just kind of constricting the throat a bit. And so on the exhale, you can feel the sensations of the breath on the exhale. So how to constrict the throat. Someone once told me that we kind of just close or pretend like you're fogging up your glasses. So you're like, it creates just a little bit different sensation. Here we go.
Like your screen, but
And then just, as you're exhaling, close your mouth and you kind of breathe out of your nose. It creates a little bit of a ocean sound, perhaps. And so as we're practicing, we'll allow the breath to come in and maybe an ocean breath out.
Like I said, the breath out is through the nose or through the closed throat?
Experiment, not one particular way. So a lot of times I think maybe in through the nose and out, through the mouth or through the nose. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, sometimes it depends on what the position is. Maybe it's hard for me to breathe through my nose sometimes in the morning, so I'll just be breathing through my mouth. Okay. Any wonderings or questions about this morning? Again, there's no place we need to be this morning. There's no right way we're going to hold these poses. We're just wanting to ensure that we're taking care of our body. This is the first time out. Sometimes being on these mats, feel free to grab another mat or a blanket if it feels like it's too hard for the knees or sometimes the wrist, and we'll talk through it. Modify, do what you need to do. All right, well, we'll begin in mountain pose. So feet just kind of underneath our hips, slight bend to the knees. Maybe a little bit of a pelvic tilt. Let's rotate our shoulders forward and up. And maybe back down, kind of open, maybe slightly opening the hands, just a little bit. Just kind of helps open up the chest. You can gaze to the floor or even close your eyes if that makes sense for your body. And we're just going to notice the sensations of a couple breaths coming into and out of our body. And maybe allowing an ocean breath on the exhale. And we'll do a little shoulder rotation maybe to begin things off. So we'll move forward and up on an in-breath and back and down on an exhale. And just kind of going at your own pace. In-breath, forward and up, and back and down on an exhale. Noticing sensations of the shoulder, perhaps in movement. Notice how the mind just brings this intention for movement. The body follows. It makes sense perhaps reversing. So we'll go back and up on an in-breath, and forward and down on an exhale. And when you're ready, just coming back into mountain, pausing. Noticing sensations of the breath as it comes into and out of maybe the belly, just watching it expand, maybe allowing that ocean breath on the exhale again, just breathing normally or wherever the body needs at this pace of activity. And softening those areas of the body that can be softened. We can't change what we're not aware of, so we practice this in a body sense. Throughout all of these movements, we just will notice muscle contraction, constriction, movement, and then we'll pause and just allow things to soften. Let's on an exhale, let the right ear fall towards the right shoulder. In breath, the head comes back up towards the sky. And your next exhale, and on an ocean breath, left ear, left shoulder. So at your own pace, going back and forth on an in-breath, bringing the head upright. And on an ocean breath out, ear comes towards one of the shoulders. And even maybe you want to maybe pause for a breath cycle. Let the stretch of the neck be felt. Experimenting with makes sense to your body. And on your next in-breath, head comes up towards the sky and returning to mountain pose. Allowing an ocean breath. And softening those parts that can be soft. Noticing sensations of the body now, maybe particularly around the neck. And on your next exhale, we're going to bring our chin towards our chest. And roll our shoulders forward. We're going to slowly move towards the floor. So we're going to bend our legs. Fall down in this kind of ragdoll position, bending our knees, letting our fingers, and maybe just touch the floor just a little bit. Again, pay attention to your body. You need to go all the way to the floor, you can. Begin just get in a sitting position if you want. If it makes sense, maybe we can bring our fingers and just walk them over towards the right side of our mat or off to the floor. Maybe notice a little bit more weight on our right foot. There's some sensations of stretching on our left side. And let's walk our fingers back towards the middle and bring them across to the left side. So left side of our mat, maybe off the mat. Maybe we weight our left foot just a little bit. Notice that. Or we bring the weight to a place where we can kind of feel the right side a little bit and bring them back to the middle. And let's bring them to the floor and eventually come to tabletop. So we're bringing our knees to the ground. And hands underneath the shoulders. This is hard on your wrists. You can experiment with just maybe creating a fist with your hands. And we'll do a little cat and cow. So on an exhale, bring our head towards the mat. And the belly comes up towards the sky. So, and then on the next inhale, head goes up towards the sky. And we let our belly move towards the floor. And so going at your own pace. Allowing an ocean breath on that exhale, getting into cat. And back and forth. Just timing it with your own breath. Noticing sensations of the body now. Being curious on where you feel movement in the body. You're slowly moving back and forth. And maybe even experimenting with pace. And when you're ready, it makes sense for your body. Maybe just allowing the hips to come back towards your ankles and maybe resting for a couple breaths in child's pose. If it's hard on your knees, you can just move your hands away from your body a little bit. Maybe bring your head towards the floor. Your hips don't need to go towards your ankles. Again, just paying attention to your body and allowing a few breaths here in child's pose. And maybe on your next in-breath, bringing your body, torso back up towards the sky. Hands come back underneath the shoulders and pausing for a breath cycle. Tabletop. Noticing the sensations of the body now. And extending your right leg back, maybe feet on the floor, or the toes are on the floor. The right leg is extended. If it makes sense, perhaps you can bring that right leg off the floor, kind of maybe parallel, and maybe extend the left hand out a little bit, or even off the floor, kind of like a bird dog. Softening those areas that can be softened, muscles of the face. And then on your next exhale, bring that left hand back underneath the left shoulder, right knee underneath the right hip, and pausing in tabletop for a breath cycle. Notice some sensations of the body now. And extending that left leg. Toes on the floor. And just pressing back a little bit if you want to stretch that left leg out, and or you can pick that left leg off the floor, extending that right hand off away from the body, maybe allowing it to still be on the floor or parallel with the floor. The right arm comes up. Noticing sensations of the body, all that's activated to allow this position to be held. And when you're ready, releasing with an exhale. Right hand back underneath the right shoulder, and that left knee back on the floor, and resting for a breath cycle or two in tabletop. Now we'll bring our left hand underneath our head on the floor, and we'll raise our right elbow, and then eventually our right hand, and bring that up towards the sky. And we may even bring our eyes towards our right hand, gaze up as well. And then slowly we're going to bring on this exhale our right hand through and underneath our body. The back of our right hand might touch the floor and go underneath our body. We're going to bring our right shoulder to the ground. Threading the needle. Right head, right side of the head on the ground. And just pausing here for a couple breath cycles. And when you're ready, coming back up into tabletop. And allowing an ocean breath. Brush right hand underneath our head on the floor, left elbow, left hand up towards the sky, maybe the eyes follow, gazing at the left hand. And slowly bringing that left hand, left arm underneath our body, back the left hand drags along the ground, thread the needle, and bring our left shoulder, maybe the left side of our head to the floor. Pausing here for a few ocean breaths. And when you're ready, come back up. And tabletop for an ocean breath. And it makes sense for your eye, perhaps back into child's pose. And maybe allowing the forehead to touch the floor. Maybe hands come out away from the body. And just notice sensations of the body now. When it makes sense, we're going to move our hips upright and moving forward. We're going to allow our hips to come move towards the floor. Now, actually touch the floor, we're going to be on our front side. So then touch on our belly and our chest. Bringing our hands up towards our head and allowing maybe the right side of our head to rest on our hands. And just noticing sensations now in the body, perhaps some pressure of the floor, support of the floor, the mat, the clothes, just noticing. An ocean breath, softening those parts of the body that can be softened. And your next in breath, let's pick the head up and just pause for breath cycle, just for the head up. And then on your next exhale, allow it to come down and rest you on the left side of your head. Noticing sensations now, perhaps of the neck or the face. Allow an ocean breath. And on the next in breath, head comes up. And we'll extend our arms out in front of us. Superman, Superwoman. And maybe slowly picking up our right leg, just a little bit. Doesn't need to be too far off the ground. Just noticing activation of maybe the buttocks and the lower back. Just allow the right leg to come off the floor a little bit. And then on an ocean breath, allowing that leg to come back down, very slowly back to the ground. Just noticing gravity bringing it back. And kind of the release of the activation of those muscles. And then when you're ready, slowly bring that left leg off the floor. Noticing all the muscles in the leg, buttocks, and the lower back. Allow the left leg to come off the floor just a little bit. And when you're ready, slowly allowing that left leg to come back to the floor. Just noticing the soften. We're going to bring our left hand up near our shoulder, left shoulder. We're going to press down our left hand and allow us to get to our right side. And we're going to pause for a couple breath cycles on our right side. So bend your knees, maybe bring your hand or arms up so you can create a little pillow for your head. Allowing a few ocean breaths here. And softening those parts of the body that can be softened. At times when we're exhaling, we can maybe even extend a stretch a little bit. Again, not going past to a comfort level, but that's how we can maybe extend and stretch. And we can even extend softening. So we're practicing the softening on our right side. Perhaps directing the breath to our belly, back to when we were babies. We're just breathing in and out of our bellies. And perhaps a little push with the left hand so we can get on our back. So we're going to just notice slowly all the sensations that come and greet the back side of our body. And you may need to hop over a little bit if you want to get back on your mat. And we'll lie on our back side, maybe sometimes just corpse pose, maybe arms a little bit off to the side, palms up to the floor. And notice sensations of the body now. Allowing that ocean breath. And experimenting with softening those parts of the body that can be softened. Muscles of the face. Maybe for the next couple breaths, just directing our attention to sensations as we're breathing in and out. Noticing the belly rise and fall. As we bring the ocean breath on the exhale, particularly, we can notice maybe the waves that are created in our body as we're breathing. Rise of the wave in our belly in the in-breath. Maybe slightly in our chest as well, and the fall, the belly, and probably the chest. It's kind of attending to sensations of the breath. And when you're ready, we're going to bring our right knee towards the sky, allowing that left foot to rest on the floor just near our buttocks, and then followed by the left knee up towards the sky. And let's bring our hands on top of our kneecaps. So I'm drawing the legs a little closer together. We're just going to do some small circles with our knees. Just circling, notice sensations of the lower back. Experimenting with, going back and forth. Maybe it's a clockwise, counterclockwise, up, down, left, right. And maybe movement at different speeds. Just attending to the sensations of the lower back. And when you're ready, releasing the hands, they fall to your belly and maybe a little bit on the chest. And bringing the feet off to the side, maybe off to the side of the mat. So maybe the knees kind of come in the middle. Sure, feet are a little bit wider than your hips, and the knees kind of come in the middle. They may or may not touch. And just allowing a couple breaths here. Attending to sensations of the hands as the breathing creates a little movement in the body. Now maybe allowing the knee on the right side to move a little bit more closer to the mat. Maybe the left knee opens up a little bit, and then going back and forth. So kind of like allowing the left knee to move in a little bit. So not be careful of the knees, not going past any point that's comfortable for you, or we're just kind of moving a little bit, again, creating some movement in the lower part of the back, or we're moving our legs back and forth just a little bit. It's more about noticing the movement in our lower back, not pushing too far to create any strain on the knees. And let's walk our feet together. Come near our buttocks and close together, and maybe allowing our knees to open up. And maybe you can bring the bottom of your feet together and just let gravity be experienced in your body. What's this sensation feel like now? In the legs, in the lower back. Maybe allow an ocean breath, some softening, which may increase the stretch, again, not going past what seems supportive for your body. And maybe allowing the hands to go on either side of your thigh. Hope the knees come back up towards the sky. And maybe feet now hip width apart. Again, so close to the back. Arms off to our sides. And just pausing for a couple ocean breaths here. We'll do a little pelvic tilt. So on an exhale, just pressing your lower back on towards the floor and just releasing on an in-breath. On that ocean breath out, and we're just kind of pressing the lower back towards the floor. Maybe kind of constricting the buttocks, or maybe a little bit of the thighs, so allow that movement to occur, and then again on the in-breath, softening all this area, just kind of rocking a little bit back and forth, the lower part of our body. And then we're going to do a little bridge pose. So as you're pressing your lower back into your body, at some point, let's just keep our hips kind of up and towards the sky. Just slowly bringing your hips up towards the sky. Again, if this makes sense for your body. A little bridge. Noticing all the activation it takes in the body to create this little movement. And when it makes sense for you, slowly bringing the bridge back down. And maybe allowing one vertebrae at a time to come back in contact with the floor. Slowly the lower back comes in contact. And then we pause here and just notice the softening. Allowing an ocean breath. So we'll try this bridge pose one more time. On an exhale, press your lower back into the floor. Allowing the hips then eventually come up and off the floor. The hips and vertebrae by vertebrae. Our lower back comes off the floor. Noticing all the activation, maybe softening muscles of the face. An ocean breath. And then coming back to the floor with the back, and the lower back. And all the deactivation of these muscles, and maybe just one leg at a time, or lengthening it out, turning to a corpse pose. And noticing sensations of the body now. There might be specific areas of the body that are kind of speaking to you via sensations. You can notice that. And maybe direct your mind in the various parts, maybe checking in. Noticing sensations or relaxed sensations. And when you're ready, right knee towards the sky, right foot on the ground, and left knee towards the sky, and left foot on the ground. And we're going to bring our right knee towards our chest, hands come up, grab the shin right underneath the right kneecap. And we're going to slowly bring that leg into our body on an exhale, the right leg. And release on an in-breath. Just a bit. We're going to still hold our hands on our shin, and then again, just kind of rocking our leg back and forth. So on an exhale, we bring it back in. And releasing on an in-breath. Going back, just go to your own pace, your own breath. If it makes sense for your body, you may want to experiment by just lengthening the left leg. If that makes sense. You don't have to. The left foot can remain on the floor, but just see what that feels like. And when you're ready, maybe that left knee comes up towards the sky, left foot on the ground. And let's just release our hands. They come to our belly. And watch gravity bring that right foot back to the floor near our buttocks. And just pausing for a breath cycle here. Notice some sensations of the body now. And initiating movement with that left knee. Left leg comes towards our chest, hands come up, grab underneath the left kneecap on our shin, and on an exhale, we allow that left leg come towards our body. Releasing a bit on an in-breath. And if it makes sense for your body, maybe lengthening that right leg. And maybe releasing the hands to the floor. Left foot comes back to the floor near the buttocks. And we pause for a couple ocean breaths here. Just noticing sensations of the body. Soften those areas that can be softened. And when you're ready, right knee towards the chest, followed by the left. Hands come up on the knee, both shins are underneath the kneecaps, and on an exhale, bring both legs in towards the chest. releasing a bit on and breath. Experimenting a little bit as you're rocking back and forth with your breathing, maybe bringing the knees towards one another or lengthening them or allowing them to separate out a little bit. Just back and forth, maybe knees in a bit, knees out a bit. Just noticing the different sensations that are present with the movement. And maybe bringing our hands on top of our kneecaps. And we're going to just allow the legs to fall over to the right side very slowly. And allowing our hands to support this movement. Maybe stacking our left leg on top of our right leg. Knees can be bent. And slowly we're going to bring our left arm back across the body into a T. So the right arm and the left arm are spread across, and maybe in the T. And just noticing sensations of stretching in this position. It makes sense for your body. Maybe your eyes can go towards your left hand. Allowing an ocean breath. And when you're ready, allowing that left hand to come across the body. Let's grab that left kneecap and support this movement back up towards the sky with the left leg, right hand, right knee cap. Bring that right leg up. We're going all the way across the horizon and bringing our left leg over to the left side, stacking our right leg on top. Makes sense. Maybe the right arm goes back across the body, arms off into a T, and maybe grazing at our right hand. Noticing sensations of the body. Maybe, again, through that ocean breath on the exhale, the softening can occur, and maybe we find a little bit more of a stretch. We do that. Not going past our edge. And when you're ready, bringing that right arm across the body. And we're just going to rest on our left side now for a few breath cycles. That left arm or left hand up so you can support your head. Allowing an ocean breath. And softening those parts of the body. They can maybe still be soft. In a moment, we'll begin to move into a sitting position, but just notice those words, how the mind kind of, the body respond to that. And so maybe allowing a little pressure on your right hand, You pick up your head a little bit. However, makes sense. Slowly coming upright with the torso, the body, and the head. And moving to a upright position. Let's bring our knees up a little bit. Upright. Maybe allow the hands to be on the shins. And maybe on the next ocean breath, just allow the chest to come towards the thighs. And we kind of hug our legs a little bit. And slowly bring our head towards the floor. Just seeing the stretch. And when you're ready, on an in-breath, maybe the head slowly comes up towards the sky. And we bring our torso upright as well. And maybe allowing hands to come along our side. And we're going to allow maybe the fingers or the palm of your left hand come towards the floor. And on an in-breath, we're going to bring our right arm up towards the sky. And slowly bringing that right hand towards the left side of the mat, stretching that right side out. And just a slight curve in the spine, a little C. And then coming upright, and then allowing that right arm slowly come towards the floor. Noticing contact with the floor with the fingers or the palm. And then on your next inhale, that left arm comes slowly up towards the sky. And maybe the right hand moves towards the right side of the mat. And we create a little stretch on that left side of our body. Allowing an ocean breath. And bringing the head and hand towards the sky, upright, and slowly bringing the left arm towards the floor. And let's allow our feet come up a little bit towards our body, and maybe they can greet one another, the bottom side of our feet. And let's bring our fingers or our thumbs to the bottom of our feet, and let's give it a little massage. So it's kind of squeezing with the thumb and fingers. Notice sensations. We're kind of giving ourselves a little massage at the bottom of our feet. And maybe towards the top of our feet, we kind of open up the book. Maybe look at the bottom side of our feet, kind of open them up a little bit. And release. And bringing our hands to our kneecaps, bringing the legs back up. And slowly moving our chest forward. And grabbing our legs, kind of hugging our legs. And again, maybe just slowly bringing the head towards the floor. Allowing an ocean breath. And when you're ready, it slowly comes upright. Pointing towards the sky, releasing the hug, And we're going to extend our right leg out in front of us and letting that left knee fall towards the floor. And slowly moving our chest towards our right knee, maybe hands forward on our leg, and slowly allowing the head come towards the right leg. Allow a softening with the ocean breath. And when you're ready, slowly the torso and the head comes upright. We grab the back side of our right knee, allow that to come up, placing that right foot on the floor, and left knee comes towards the sky, and then extend that left leg out, and allowing that right knee fall towards the floor, and slowly bringing our chest towards our left leg, and slowly moving it towards the floor, towards our left leg. And if it makes sense for your body, maybe eventually the head and shoulders can move towards the left leg. Noticing sensations of the left leg. And when you're ready, slowly allowing that torso and head come up towards the sky. And let's extend our right leg out in front of us too. And if it makes sense for your body, we're slowly going just to fall back into corpse pose. You may want to turn on a side to do this. We're just going to slowly allow back to make contact, floor. Arms off to the sides, perhaps palms up towards the sky. Maybe allowing a little bit of a pelvic tilt here just to allow the hips to support the lower back. Noticing sensations of the body now. It's here that we're going to move to a brief body scan. You may need to move a bit or grab something to put underneath your legs or on top of your body if you're feeling cool. Feel free to do so. Noticing the movement, noticing the sounds. Allowing an ocean breath. And noticing the waves in the body as you're breathing. Again, belly rises on the in-breath and maybe slightly in the chest. And the falling of the belly and chest on the exhale. So just noticing the waves, the body as you're breathing. And now we're going to direct our attention to sensations in the right leg. So noticing sensations in the right leg. Maybe some sensations that greet the mind as there's an ache or a throb or feels like swelling. And you might direct your attention to the various parts of the right leg. Maybe notice coolness in the toes or a sense of pressure in the right heel on the floor. And directing your mind and attention to the various parts of the right leg. And when you're ready, breathing with the right leg. Now directing your attention to sensations on the left leg. Bringing this sense of curiosity. What's present now in the left leg. Noticing those spots that lack sensation as well, more neutral. And now breathing with the left leg. Attending to sensations in the pelvic region. In this moment, there might be a sense, there might not be, a sense of tension or tightness, maybe a softening. An ache or a sense of pressure or density. Just noticing sensations in the pelvic region. And now breathing with the pelvic region. And attending sensations in the upper torso.
Sensations may be in a sense of spaciousness or contact. Sense around movement, caressing, a tickle. Just attending to sensations in the torso. And when you're ready, breathing with the torso, the upper torso. And now directing our attention to the hands and arms, shoulders and neck. Just noticing sensations in this part of our body. Maybe a sense of airiness or an ache. Maybe it's indescribable, but you can have a sense around it, an affect, pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Just kind of noting it. There may not be a word. Just noticing sensations in the hands and arms and shoulders and neck. And now breathing with all this from the neck all the way down to the hands. Breathing with this part of the body. Attending to sensations of the head. Noticing sensations present now in the head. And breathing with the head. now noticing the body. Expanding our attentions and sensations of the whole body. And now breathing with the body. And now being with some words from Mary Oliver, entitled Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. In a moment, we'll be moving and going to the parlor in the circle of chairs. So just noticing those words and how the mind, maybe even the body is beginning to respond. Bringing some movement perhaps to your toes and feet and ankles, perhaps fingers and wrists. Maybe allowing an ocean breath or two as you're maybe resting on one side for a couple breaths. Perhaps stretching or massaging. Just taking care of your body. That might be a bio break. You can do that. And perhaps in silence, we can move over towards the parlor and gather in the circle of chairs.
Yes, it is. It's actually a privilege for employees. And then it's supposed to go like up into the high 80s again. It's probably was Oh, it's so terrible. I don't know. Crazy. So we go to just one person exercise. My dog gets us sick. He gets us 1 or 3 or 4 in the morning or something. So he's that sort of thing. Well, this last year, he'll be a great dog. Should feisty personality. So again, this is cheering. The kids are saying on our devices. So he's been cheering. Yeah. He's 15, which is so we got some so this is like that. Oh. We're not eating too many pets. So we try. Similar. Yes. Well, our brains are wired for the negative. Because our brains are wired. So I understand that. We do it. I just discovered this philosophy that's called theosophy. Yeah. So how does it's old. It's been around for 1800s.
Well, good morning again.
Hello.
Yeah, observations, wonderings, noticings about the mindful movement body scan this morning.
I had a hard time with ocean breath.
Okay.
That it didn't feel relaxing.
Okay.
And I don't know if anybody else feels that way. It feels constricting maybe, but I'm not sure if there's a different way to do that. Anybody's know that could help me, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's what the words here. Like, yeah, this doesn't feel relaxing. It's constricting.
But I think that there might be another way to think about it.
Yes.
No?
Like taking all the breath out.
I can't hear you.
Taking all the breath out, the air. So you really need to do it with a little contraction on here. I like to feel that my lungs are really empty. Can I push on my diaphragm
I see.
a lot?
So it's not so much a constriction here.
No, yeah. Let it come from down. Otherwise it
Yeah,
hurts
yeah.
here. Yeah. Creates a tension.
And it's more just a release of your breath, you think?
And don't focus on making the noise.
I see.
The noise is, it's really kind of in your head. So the ocean noise is in your head. As you breathe
Like
in.
folks say, okay, it's just more of a release then. That makes sense. Yeah. It was almost pushing out the breath. That what you're kind of experiencing. Yeah.
The idea maybe it's just, it might be a way to notice the breath in a little bit different way than just what we just normally kind of do. You know, we just normally eat, normally walk, normally move, normally breathe. But how can we just kind of pay attention to it a little bit of way? I think I could get probably at times like, you know, how do I do this right? Or is there a way to do it? Or it's feeling uncomfortable now because I'm paying so much attention to it. And so just softening around the idea of it in general. Yeah. Which I think I'm hearing from others. Yeah.
It's that nice, slow inhale and then maybe a longer exhale. Because when you exhale, extend your exhale, you're actually calming your body.
That's it, that breath that you were talking about. I've been doing that, helps. 4, 7, 8.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the orientation and then,
Wow.
And
yes.
that's been helping. I have a hard time with my breath. I overthink it.
Right, and that
I
can
don't
cause,
know, it's anxiety.
right, and it can cause, so at that point, maybe to attend to sensations of the body, you know?
Yeah, I tend to, in times of anxiety, I tend to have a hard time.
Right. Right.
So,
So it's hard to kind of like, okay, now I'm feeling sensations and now I'm supposed to breathe a certain way or I'm supposed to move a certain way. And it kind of feels like the
it
diet,
activates it.
yeah, it kind of can feel like oh man, I'm noticing some more activation. So maybe it's just kind of attending to softening the body and just noticing and allowing a little bit as much as we can. The full spectrum of sensations and maybe thoughts and emotions. This is going to be pretty dynamic at times.
I would have preferred to have had the body scan first. We have an old dog that's 15. He gets us up at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning for the last 6 months. And so I didn't like the exercises at all because I was tired.
Yeah.
So I would like, for me, because you will do what you need to do and I can adapt. But being honest, I would prefer the body scan first.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're going to have something that just greets our mind. It's like, I'm not feeling it. I'd rather do the body scan first.
Yeah, if you're up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
for a 6 hours,
Yes.
you're tired.
And even in talking about it now, I don't know, you're feeling, can you feel something in you talking about it now? It's
Oh,
like,
I release when I can share.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
I grew up in an Italian family,
Yeah.
we could not release.
Yeah.
So I release when I share.
So, and at some point you'll have some moments about what's first, what's second, and then you work with that with your body and mind and thought in there. Then you came in here, and then you're noticing that you can feel it in your body, and then as you put words to it, there's a sense of
And I
release.
appreciate that you can accept honesty.
Yeah. Well, it's your experience. It's your truth.
Right.
Right.
And I don't want anybody advising me other than you. Thank you.
But I also appreciate you noticing that there's a release and just putting words to it.
Mhm.
And that's so true. Yeah.
I guess the opposite for me. It's, I've like shared before, it's the body scan hard for me. And this was the first time that I actually kind of noticed sensations. I think because we had done it.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, like I actually can feel some things. Like usually it's just like, okay, I'm feeling that I'm not feeling, but this time
Mhm.
actually kind of felt like sensation. Makes sense.
I had a coughing fit at the end, and so I kind of learned something from it because and it's kind of it was a metaphor, because I'm like, oh no, suppressed, tears are running down. I'm like, okay, a couple coughs. And I'm like, why didn't I just take care of myself? Why didn't I just reach over, get my water, take a sip? It's okay. Why didn't I do that? Because I was thinking about all of you, and I just should have just taken care of myself. It would have been better for everybody.
Yeah. So just we fall into the patterns,
So
right?
it's a pattern. Yeah.
and the intention, yeah, lovely, and the effect maybe not so lovely, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not making it more messy.
And the thought or the belief system maybe not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have cared. Right?
Right.
I made it a bigger deal than
But I understand what you're doing. That's a good metaphor.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to do it right. I don't want to disrupt. I'd rather have this be different. I'm noticing different things.
You know, all this is, I don't know.
I was dealing with in phase of migraine. And so I could hear what you were saying and I would do what you were saying, but I was focused on this throbbing and at any rate, by the end of it, it's gone. And so it was beautiful, even though I wasn't able to do specifically. It was like I was there anyway, and some part of me was engaging and it cleared. Yay. Yeah.
I have found that interesting that in doing the body scan and noticing different things, I'll immediately feel a twinge or a throb or in whatever area I'm supposed to be focusing on, and then it goes away. And my bigger concern is that somehow whenever we get to the hands, I don't know if I lose total focus and or I fall asleep. And then I'm not present again until almost the bell. I don't know. I guess I just need to have some coffee or something.
Yeah, a couple things. There's, in noticing something that can change it. Is that fair? And you're noticing that there's a pattern and you're kind of curious about it. And you know, sometimes when something, well, we get into wanting to fix it or change it, or we kind of oppose it, and maybe a little bit of that too. And maybe not so much of that. Maybe just more of a curiosity. And I wonder if I did this or something different. There's some cause and effect things. And so, but I heard concern.
Because I'm
Okay. Yeah. And so I think that even, and then thanks, Sally, for kind of like, I wanted to follow along. I don't think you were taking care of yourself, but I think one of the pattern is like, what's he doing? I want to do it right. Or we gaze and look over, or what's the partner doing? And that's, there's, okay, that's nice. And then when does it get to the not so nice? And we start concerning ourselves.
Yeah, so like I'm always thinking about my toes, but I very rarely actually think about my shoulders because by then I'm somewhere else.
Yeah. So it's okay. We'll just kind of keep on noticing and just make, we can check in.
Your toes?
No.
Or if we were missing something, sorry. Little humor.
We can check in or just kind of observe things evolve. And just, and we're just such creatures of habit and patterns, and yet maybe tomorrow will be a different day. The habits and patterns are I think, can really be supportive, except when they're not. And so it's this, it's that idea perhaps that we're doing a number of things in a different way that maybe allow us to just be aware. So last week's kind of invitations were the body scan, some sitting practice. Again, we're working out this time and place and partnership, and then the pleasant events calendar. So just threw a lot out there. We can pick up and put down what we want, but what was noticed, observed, what wonderings does one have around this last week's invitations?
Yeah, figuring out what time in the morning, and then my husband had 4 days off, so I was feeling bad about taking, he's doing a lot of housework, and it was nice that he was like, I felt better. That was nice. That was good.
then just figuring out that I need to go earlier, get it, because I don't want to do this. But it was good. And then by the end of the week, it was not so irritating. I was kind of irritated. So between trying to bring myself back to, you know, from those thoughts to, I know what it feels like to feel that release. And then I know what it feels like to be thinking a lot of thoughts. So I want to get back there, but that transition's hard without feeling like a little bit of stress around it. Yeah.
Thanks, Anne, for putting a lot of words to, I'm sure, what other people are experiencing. I'm hearing kind of a river of thoughts that sometimes we have, maybe resistance to do the practice, feeling bad, giving ourselves permission, having a different feeling afterwards. Yeah, the timing, you know, it's maybe earlier for you, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's locked. I mean, it's unlocked. So that's interesting, and so how it just shows up again. So last week I remembered it was locked, right? So I heard, and my body reacted. I was like, okay, I don't want somebody to be locked out. So I was on it.
Now you don't have to do this.
Believe me, every single time I hear the wild geese, it's around my.
Oh, that's a big.
I think for me, like I have this love-hate thing with my mind. Like I hate it because I'm constantly in my mind, but I love it. Like there's I like to be in control. Like my safe place is to be analyzing everything, thinking, and to like spend 45 minutes where I'm not supposed to. I get irritated too. Like that is not something. Like my mind just hates it. Like, but I think that's it's good, but it's hard. But like this week, it's gotten a little easier. But it's something that's come up. Like just how much. Like I don't think I'm a controlling person, but like I like to be in control of my head, if that makes sense. But that's kind of working on this week.
And that is exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
But it's like, I think it's like any other exercise, right? Like you don't want to do it, but then after you do it, you feel better. And you're glad you did it. But it's just
Getting yourself to do it.
getting yourself to do it.
I was actually, I wasn't always glad I did it. It was like, because that fight from being, you know, that transitional thing from feeling really relaxed, having my thoughts, wanting to get back there. It was that transition. But by the end, I was, I did things different. Yeah.
I was in a group once, we practiced, and at the end of the practice, a guy would always say, well, that was another good waste of 45 minutes. and each time, he was kind of haphazard when he'd say it, you know, but it would elicit the same kind of laughter.
Yeah.
And,
One more thing.
and so it is, I think that laughter comes from this place, Peggy, of it's hard. And you know, sometimes it isn't pleasant, and so there's a part of it's like, why am I doing this again? And so we're having to kind of remind ourselves about we're open to intentions, we're going to notice some different things, and maybe some different patterns can be established, but we are just inherently going to resist or oppose or be hesitant about experiencing something unpleasant. Maybe over time there can be a sense of pleasantness.
not that you recall this, Patty, but can you, like, even when you're talking about it or thinking about it, when that feeling or frustration comes, where does it show up in the body? Is there a place that you notice it in the body?
No, like I said before, like I don't really feel.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I don't have. I mean, I have lower back. Like I was worried, but I don't feel that. No, it's just more of my like
Got it.
constant chatter. But I heard from both of you, and I feel this too. It's also the guilt. Like 45 minutes is a long. I mean, it really isn't. But I'm like, oh my, this could be this, and then, So it's also just giving. Not that it shouldn't feel, but it's almost like you feel, or I feel guilty. Like I've just taken 45 minutes just for myself. And really, I shouldn't. I mean, I'm telling you, you should cough, but me, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, so I totally
I was surprised at the intensity of my resistance to doing the body scan, because before, up until then, I was happy to. So it was, but I'm committed to this process. And so I went ahead and 5 days in a row, 4. And then that last day I thought, it's okay if I pass today. I just gave myself permission to let it be okay. It's just okay today. And then the next day was fine. Today was wonderful. But it's that resistance to the change, and it's going to happen. And probably going to get even stronger.
Yeah.
But the permission was helpful. It's okay.
Okay.
Just today, it's okay. No guilt, just permission.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the honesty. I don't know if anybody would want to talk about all 6 days they did and how they're finding it to be helpful. I mean, it can be unique, so it is difficult. There's this idea that I feel guilty. Or there's just in the immediacy, the cost-benefit analysis just isn't, there's not a felt sense around it. And that can be unpleasant, or it is sometimes just unpleasant doing it. Yeah.
Is it the name, maybe, body scan that makes people... Maybe you
Please.
should sit next to me so I can speak loudly. I was wondering why the body scan is being so unliked. And by, how to say, experience. I know that some names trigger in us a reaction that we don't even understand. So perhaps if you call it something else, because it's your mind that is gonna be in control.
Yeah.
And you like being in control. So if I may, I know you are.
Well,
you are
maybe,
not
yeah,
allowed. The way I see it,
Yeah.
it's like when I fast. It's not about not eating food, but it's about getting in control of my body and of my needs. And I'm not gonna eat from sunset to sunrise. I don't drink. It's feasible, but it's hard. But it's a control. So even if I'm not in the period of fasting and I'm late at work and I'm hungry, then I put myself in a fasting mode. I'm like, stupid me, I can fast 18 hours and I'm not resisting the hunger of half an hour. And then right away my brain switches me in that mode and I'm fine. I don't feel anything anymore. So I see the body scan, although I'm not doing it every day, I wouldn't lie. I am very nice to myself. When I when I want to do it, I do it. If I feel like I want to stretch, or I found myself in a child position in the middle of the body scan, and then I just stretch it. I finished it. So, but I feel like the more and more I'm controlling my body. That's the way I feel it. So I'm controlling my mind to come back to my body.
Right. So you, like all of us, are struggling with the body scan. How do I use maybe other events, and how do I think about that, and how can I apply that to maybe the body scan? Maybe it is different language. It's a reminder maybe of that there can be, even in the midst of, there are different moments, and some of them may be pleasant. So there's a full rainbow of things, and we're practicing awareness of the thoughts and the feelings and the patterns. And even when it is uncomfortable, how do I deal with this? If I see the uncomfortable, like in the thought or the feeling, or even during the practice, a sensation, maybe as I'm hearing that, just in noticing it can shift the energy or the affect of it. So maybe we can experiment with that. We can maybe just stay up with it and be with it and just see how long it goes. At some point it will change. We can maybe notice that, like, all right, I'm just gonna just continue to be unpleasant, maybe be with that a while, and then at some point you notice that you can't maintain it, or it does change, or it softens maybe a little bit. Direct your mind to attend to, like, okay, at some point back to this, like, okay, I'm noticing the pain and I have some options around the suffering. And my mental activity around the original pain is causing more pain or more suffering. Do I have options around that? Can I hack or manipulate this a little bit and direct it somewhere else? So we're throwing out a couple different options.
I was thinking, like, it's just now that it's sort of like, if you put your hand into really hot water, you have the option of keeping it there or pulling it out. So maybe that would be, for me, a good metaphor to think, oh, there's the pain, and what are my options?
Right.
It out. Is that kind of what you're saying? Is just noticing can help.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I find like the control and thinking, I'm so tired of controlling. I'm so tired of thinking that I find what I found this past week, and I also didn't do it every day, but I swim almost every day, so I feel like I meditate there. So I find that whenever I would just go there, which is not a good option for me, I would just be like, but I can breathe. So I would just breathe. And then, because the mind is so wonderful, it, of course, you're going to return to the mind, but because you're focusing on the breathing, you arrive at a different place in your mind. I don't know how to explain it correctly, but that's my thing. I just am like, oh, I'm so tired of myself. I'm like, but at least I have my breath. Yeah. It's right there.
Well, I'd like to say, I've had the advantage of living with a psychiatrist for 40 years. And I was a counselor, so I've worked on it. He's always talked about people change and it's hard. So I give myself permission now. If I'm going to do something different, then I'm going to be doing different things, and I may not like it. I allow myself now to accept far more things. When I was younger, I felt like I had to be perfect because I was in a strong Christian family, and my father was Italian, and you were not allowed to feel. So I find it a privilege to come here. I may not like some of the stuff, but later on, I'm a caretaker. And for example, I just heard my daughter, who is a nurse in California, has joined the military, and she's going to be working 1 week in a month. So my old traditional pattern was, you have to worry about your kids, you're Italian, you have to be involved, what's going to happen to her. And then I went to meditation, some of the stuff we've been doing on Sunday after I talked with her, and allowed me to release my thoughts of worry, which is past stuff. So I'm working on, it's okay to be where you are, because I grew up, you couldn't be where you were. So I find it really helpful to be aware of where I had tight areas, and I have that freedom when I allow myself to think about, okay, you don't have to rescue her, she's an adult. Let her go, give her to God, give her to the universe, and go back and do your own thing. As I do that process, then I am freer and happier. And that lasts, that helps my day. So I find that even though I might moan at times, I find the change really helpful. I love I love in my thinking, the meditation, although I may not like some of the processes. Does that make sense? So I think what you're going through, not to advise you, but it's normal to feel, I don't like this today. And then maybe tomorrow, 4 weeks later, you realize you're freer from worry.
I'm not necessarily thinking, well, we're about to cross back, but no, I totally agree with both of you. Like, that's what's come up in me is how much my mind wants to control my kid. You know, I have a daughter in Jordan. And it's like, well, I can't do anything, you know,
Right.
so but my mind just doesn't like giving it up. Like, I know I need to, but like, it's a practice, but that's what's just come up, exactly what you're talking about. Just recognizing
But
it
you're
and
getting
letting it.
awareness. of who you
Awareness,
are.
yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
It's hard, but like, it's good, it's just different.
So what we're all saying is resonating with a lot of us. So, you know, we have a certain amount of energy about it and frustration in some ways too. And so the stories continue, right? But I want to, at sometimes, you know, how can we just notice the story? And sometimes it doesn't. It's not as obvious as my arm in the hot, in the hot. You know, there's a sensation. Sometimes it doesn't really greet us initially, but there can be what's brewing is a feeling. So what's the feeling going on? And maybe that can help, kind of like we can just focus on the feeling a little bit, and that can bring a sense of the volume of the story starts to narrow. And then where is it? Maybe not. I'm not feeling a sensation in the body. And then, okay, and now what do I do with that? Well, now I have this breath, maybe. So maybe some options available. Natalie, you had your hand up.
That's okay. Yeah, it passed.
Pleasant events calendar. This is what the story, the feeling, the body sensation, retelling the story or rethinking the story. So this is an outline.
I liked it.
I do too.
It was, I started out with like one thing that I didn't notice, and you know, after I noticed it, after I had to do it, we always had to do it, right? But towards the end, you know, I could find 2 or 3, and sometimes I'd notice it when I was doing it, sometimes I didn't, and it was really sort of fun to reflect on some of that, and I was surprised by the things that I thought were pleasant things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, well, how about that? So that, I like that, it was fun.
Can I ask you what surprised?
So, so I like to walk, and, you know, so one of those days, there was this, in the neighborhood, there was this house that I really liked, and I've always wondered what it looked like inside. And it said, from 12 to 2, open house. Ta-da! Yeah, so I got to see that house, what it looked like. I might like to buy that house. So I was like pleasantly, you know, surprised, you know, that there was something like that.
When you did the ta-da, I was feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So it was like appreciating my day, my week. You know, there was a lot of pretty great things going on, you know, just, you know, when you do like simple things, you think, well, that's not, but you know, there's pleasantness in all of what you do if you think about it differently.
Yeah, with the breaking it down. So I have had a gratitude journal off and on for years, and so I sat there and looked at my blank piece of paper, and I thought, well, what was pleasant? My coffee. I immediately go to the coffee room, and then breaking down why and how I feel about that coffee. But it was kind of nice to just simplify it and recognizing that feeling of warmth that it gives me, and how it just makes me feel full and content. It's a cup of coffee. But finding those simple pleasures and recognizing how it resonates in your body, I think is really good.
Just the idea of coffee is good enough.
Sorry.
I have so much coffee that I'm not allowed in the morning. I'm like, time for coffee.
I have some left.
Well, that's also pretty interesting, I think, is that not only, you know, is it whatever the reality is of the real coffee being there, but we can also really kind of, you know, just the ta-da, or the smell of coffee, and that, whoa, my body is there. There is something going on. And
I even have euphoria before I start drinking it. I'm serious. Yeah. To me, it's just, well, because I get up way before, 5:30 or something with my dogs and old dogs. And to me, it's the signal of a started day, and it's actually, I feel hopeful. It's like, day, we're gonna do, you know, and sort of, it's like, it revs you up before it actually really revs you up.
I noticed for mine, like, the things that made me happy were like two extremes. It was either, you know, the excitement, like my adjectives would be excitement, competitive, alive, elated, or on other days it would be relief, calm. Like it was either one way or the other. Like,
I'm not sure if this is what you're putting down, Peggy, but sometimes the pleasant can be at the end of an unpleasant. And that there are different scales of which we will experience things.
Well, I could relate to that. I shared in our meditation group anxiety and physical tension that I would feel going into my grandson's wrestling game, and resistance and judging it barbaric and just a wreck. And because of an event that took place at his school, well, he was called out in the cafeteria before classes started. He was seated with his friends at a table, and this guy that was bigger and was antagonizing him wanted to fight. And Sam stayed in his seat at the table, and the guy came around, and Sam ignored him until he swung at him. And so then he responded with his wrestling moves and took the guy down. And all of the cameras, all their phones are taking pictures and putting it online and all of that stuff. And so the bottom line for me, which I didn't really get to in our meditation group, was that the character and the way in which he was able to deal with that situation and take care of himself are a result of his devotion to that sport. And so it completely shifts my attitude toward it now. And I look forward to going, because I know that no matter what happens out there on the mat, he's taking care of himself. He can take care of himself. He's learning and he's benefiting. And it's such a gift. So something that I really hated until this event when he was challenged and how he reacted to responded. It was like, oh, wake up. It's okay. So, you know, so from something that could have been perceived as, you know, negative, and with Sam having to deal with that was like, wow. It's just, yeah.
And I think that was maybe our theme of last week. So, and you just used the word perceive. You know, we have these perceptions and belief systems that we do carry around with us. And maybe there's just some other options. We get binary, we go to or world, and we get pretty binary. And maybe nothing's all bad or all good. But also we're just also maybe just come from the cave people who scan for negativity. You know, cave people who didn't do that, were happy-go-lucky, saw the pleasant everything. Well, they didn't make it, right? They didn't go around. I mean, you know, long ago, they're always, do I have enough? It was food, shelter, water, right? And those people who did that well survived. So we come from that lineage, and so we have this kind of negative brain bias that we're always kind of scanning and attuned, and we're just kind of focusing on what's not going well, what could be changed, and you know, maybe there will truly things not go well in our lives, and maybe there are more things right with us than wrong. But we channel that, and then maybe things are really bad. Or more unpleasant, and then how do I deal with that? How do I be with that? And we're practicing being with the unpleasant. The 45 minutes. I mean, it is that, but we're trying to see this in a different way, and bring that attention that there's some possibilities that will make more and more sense as the class goes on if I continue in practice. And how does that show up, pleasant or unpleasant, in my thought, in my heart feeling, and in my body sensation? So this is some data which, if we can pay attention to, we talked about last week, our bodies, parts of it at certain times can clearly communicate to us. So how can we get some different data points so we don't run off in a direction that maybe is not necessary? So we react to some different data, then back to a little bit what I hear Laura say is that I'm noticing it and then it can change. But without the noticing it, we just do what we do.
Yeah. Well, meditation is so interesting too, because there's some parameters, right? We have a time parameter. We have, you know, kind of a directive about the breath. If we have somebody leading us, we're kind of saying, okay, guiding us through it. But then it's sort of what you make of it, right? And isn't that sort of like raising teenagers? There's like, you have to go to school, you have to do this, but then it's just sort of like, there's only so much control in that, within those parameters. So that's where I guess the paying attention comes into play too.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe some things are as they are, as we kind of discussed that. But there are some actions around my affect level or energy level or body tension around it.
Thinking about that, is there a reason why we skip the abdomen?
Just my lack of language.
No, it's not only you, even
Really?
John
Yeah. Okay.
So, because my abdomen has always been my center of pain. I had lactose intolerance that was not diagnosed very early, so I suffered a lot from it when I was a child. So I was going through the chest and I wait a minute. Let me focus on my abdomen.
Yeah.
That's the most important area of anxiety, of, the abdominal aorta is here, the
Yeah.
chakra, isn't it?
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing it correctly? It's supposed to be here, the center of all our energies. So I'm like, why am I skipping it? I should spend half an hour on it.
Let's pay attention to it right now.
Exactly. What's going on there?
Well, I think there's a lot of, vagal nerve stuff that can happen, and breath. And so maybe the torso or the stomach, abdominal area, all of that, maybe some of those words can be,
Then I'm like,
be
I think
used.
thorax means
Yeah.
also the upper part, but it's important.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
Not to neglect.
mhm. And for your body, and I would imagine others, that there is a lot, maybe that sometimes you and our refer to as our second brain, right? So there's a lot that can be going
Let's
on.
say I have a heart pain or it's a stomach pain, in fact, even medically speaking, a lot of people will describe a heart attack by saying I have abdominal pain. It goes to the abdomen rather than we don't feel it in the heart because I think it's just the nerves, like you said, that are more here than here. So you feel it. A lot of people react to the bowels, irritative bowel syndrome and stuff like that. So it's a very or gastric pain or reflux, or it's so related to stress and anxiety. So I think I breathe it out. It's good.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes where's my diaphragm? There's nowhere to go. Because I'm right there. I know where my chest is.
It can be very hard.
Yeah.
And so being in touch with all the parts of the body, sometimes it's a practice as well. And I'm grabbing that part of my body just to kind of try to be in touch, just even notice it, Is there more about this morning? We're going to do some more practicing, so I'm checking in. Is there more about this morning or this last week's practices? Before we get up, let's gather a hand or two around our abdomen, our belly. And all that we've been practicing, all that we are, will show up in this moment as well. Just noticing this, just the thoughts or whatever comes will come. Evaluation mind even. And how do we bring this? And we'll notice the judgment. And now can we just kind of let that go? Maybe even for a moment, but just pay attention to this part of our body. Again, there might not be a ton of sensations on maybe the interior part of our abdominal area. I feel it more externally with our hands. I'm noticing the little gurgle. I don't know if I would have noticed that before.
sense around the muscles as breathing in and out. Maybe kind of a little feeling of vulnerability and holding myself this way. And I'm expanding the in-breath, kind of stretching things out. And inviting the thought that there is much that is right with this part of my body and wrong. And noticing that pleasantness. Like the coffee, maybe being a little amazed about the extraordinary process of the breath. And that thought wanders off. And I'm going to breathe with this part of my body in real sense, feeling the sensations in my hands. Maybe no opening the eyes, noticing the sense of sight. And the words of, or the invitation that shows up in words to, we'll go over to room 312. Trying to be a more interesting name than 312. We'll go back to the room. And maybe, hopefully, we're bringing a sense of awareness in all the rooms we're in. We'll head back to the room.
So much in my body. You have to think gratitude. Yeah. Like, I was like, can't you?
We'll see. More will be revealed.
You know, we need to come up with a good name for this room. I go to Starbucks once a week. But after I go to the gym, I reward myself. And they have this passion tea. And I thought, I love that. I want to order it. I think I like it that as much because the name.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I have to come up with a name.
We're going to do a little sitting practice. So,
Is that your fault?
yeah, we do.
Okay, after.
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no. You're like, okay. This calendar thing, you're like, okay. Greets the mind, of course. Yeah.
As far as what we need anyone.
No, but it might be nice to have this to sit on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's being bad. So yeah, completely accessible. I've never done this.
Right. Yeah. That's an idea.
Because you had.
And or probably maybe legs in front too. Yeah, too much. People look, the buttocks might be a little too low. You could
Right, so that's, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right, because it's, we're trying to have it more above our knees, right? So this is like opposite.
And that could be open too, either a front, you can go underneath your legs. So I usually just kind of go and just put this back. And sit down.
No. Other ways.
No, because this is tilting forward, which is what I want. So. When you put my knees between them?
Yep.
I think this is,
Yes.
I don't know.
That's fine. Sometimes maybe the legs in between.
That's what I was, okay, so.
Be the ankles in between.
Through the hole. I'm sorry? Yeah. Yes, I did. I love that. So lift it up. Okay.
Too much on the knee? Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, you know, trying.
Yep. Right, we'll do a little sitting practice. So, as I'm doing now and others are doing, maybe making those little adjustments or big adjustments to kind of help support the practice. Maybe the head moves towards the sky, maybe the shoulders open a little bit, best you can. Just trying to allow the breath to come into and out of the body in a way that allows some flow. I sometimes bring my thigh cheek or butt cheek out a little bit, just provides a little stability. And you can gaze the floor, maybe even close your eyes if you want. Sometimes if the mind's really particularly busy, you've been practicing a little bit this last week, but the invitation will practice again this next week. Sometimes the mind's quite busy and having the eyes closed can help, and or sometimes opening them you can kind of gaze, and it helps anchor the mind. You can experiment with that now or this week. So we're now in this room. Sometimes the body shows up before the mind. So maybe just noticing and bringing our senses to notice what's present here in this room. Maybe it's the sense of sound. It's a sense of smell or a lack of smell. Maybe a sense of sight that we talked about, maybe gazing to the floor, or a lack of sense of sight. Eyes are closed. Maybe just a sense of darkness or blackness. Maybe more of a sense of light coming from a particular area. There's taste, maybe not something that we normally check in on unless we have something in our mouth. That's present now.
And touch, which may be this body sensation. It's just noticing the parts of the body that are being supported by a chair or a cushion, the floor. Our senses will continue to bring us data to consider, even in the stillness of the body and the stillness of a practice. Sounds, sensations. Our sixth sense, maybe our mind, can create stories, data. So we're practicing just noticing this all. We've been doing this in the body scan and now the mindful movement and walking and sitting. Perhaps we've given ourselves permission to know that the thinking is going to go on. Not something that's going to stop, nor would we want it to, perhaps. The mind does what it does. It thinks, it's its job. The heart's job is to pump. The lungs' job is to breathe. The mind's job is to think. So it will think. We're practicing noticing the thoughts. The thought creates a feeling and perhaps a body sensation, however minor or large. It may be pleasant, something that we want to hold on to, and we can notice how that can create some suffering. It can be unpleasant and how we oppose it and how that can create some suffering. We're practicing being with it all. And at times maybe being with our breath. If only for a moment. Practice about returning again and again. Our mind can be like a puppy, always wandering off, exploring and curious, playing with something, an idea. As we're practicing and training, we don't need to beat ourselves. We don't need to beat the puppy. We honor the puppy and its aliveness and its curiosity and know that this is what puppies do. And we have to sometimes train the puppy for its own good, for its own safety even. So we invite the puppy to sit and maybe stay. How do we stay? It is a practice, and maybe just noticing sensations of this next in-breath. and out breath. The mind wanders off again and again. Maybe we can summarize the thought train. What's the sign on the side of the train say? Maybe it's planning mind or worried mind, fantasy mind. That may be helpful. Let me just note, maybe it doesn't need to be labeled. It can just be, yep, train of thought. Maybe bringing some sense of curiosity of the feelings that's created or the body sensation. Maybe with an out breath, we can allow the softening of the body. The thoughts and feelings can create some activation of the body. Soften the body again. And returning back to this sensations of the next in breath and out breath. And now some words from Portia Nelson, entitled An Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. An autobiography in 5 short chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street.
I'll be passing out some invitations for this next week. Body scan, mindful movement. The YouTube, where are you going? You're looking for the mindful movement floor. It's about 45 minutes. And so is the body scan. So again, working on that time, place, partnership to practice. So we're alternating these. Practicing. Sitting practice. You know, it didn't have to get, you know, super formal. You know, maybe you're waiting for somebody at a restaurant. You can gaze at the napkin if you want. People are worried about you. Or you can close your eye if you want to just let that all go. But there can maybe find a time and place to just practice sitting and aware with the breath. And maybe it's just practicing ocean breath a little bit, which is just, as we're kind of putting words to it, maybe we're just extending our exhale a little bit. You don't have to get into how it sounds or what it should be or the length, but just checking in. And you're standing in, you know, at the grocery line and just standing in a mountain and just allowing the breath to come into and out of the body. Unpleasant events list this week.
Let me at it. Let me at it. That's easy. Isn't that awful? I'm like, oh, I got this.
Can I share something? I have some coffee left.
Yep. So it's a new week. What's happened has happened. This is our third, we're practicing our third week. So just, it's a work in progress. Keep working it. We'll find out if it works. We'll work it after a few more weeks, right?
Right.
Is there wonderings, questions?
No question. I know I cannot be here next week.
Okay.
At one point, we talked about maybe that or is there any much?
Yeah, let me look into that. I'm hearing maybe that some fall breaks are coming and everybody's different patterns. There's some people couldn't make this week. They let me know. Thanks for letting me give me a heads up. And it's super crude, but there is something that happened, and I can maybe record it and I can give you guys a link to it, and you can get a flavor for it, you know, or participate. So that'd be nice. All right, before we go, let's just take a little, just a pause, quick one, just now our breath in and out. Maybe rest with this intention that today, until we gather again, may we be safe and secure. Our mind and body be at peace and ease as we are in touch with life's joys and sorrows, pleasant and unpleasant. May our spirit be filled with loving kindness, and then we know all things are just as they are. Thank you all. Good to be with you. Thank you.
So we meet 8 sessions
Yes.
with the retreat slumps.
On the 20th, yeah, that's after class 6. So we'll meet, class 6 is a Wednesday, and then we'll meet that Sunday. Yeah. And so the class, I think, goes through the end of October. Let me confirm that. Yeah, the last class is October 30th.
So I'm thinking we've had 3. So it started on the 3. And
4,
that's,
5, 6, 7, 8.
oh, okay, it is the second. Wait. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is
yeah.
the second. I just didn't write it down. So, yeah.
We'll be missing. We'll miss
No,
you
I'll
next
be
week.
good.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay.
It might be the following.
That 9th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be the following.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it. I really do.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, that'd be good. I'll look into that. Can I
And then
email
I'll
folks?
just get the, or you send out the, you send it out.
Yeah, I'll send it out too. Yeah. Yeah.
See.
Did you get your receipt?
They gave me one when I
Yeah.
swiped.
Good. I don't know if you need it or all that stuff. I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
that was
Did
taken
you have
care
another
of.
one for me?
I did.
Okay. Yeah,
So I
they
wanted to
gave me
make
one.
sure.
I
Yeah,
wanted-
yeah. But if you need one, I can get you one.
No,
I just
no,
wanted to
I
make
have
sure.
it. I
Okay,
have it.
okay.
Yep.
Thanks for taking
No
care of it.
problem.
So, okay.
Good.
Okay.
Next week.
All right. See you then.
Cause you're like, yeah, I learned that too, right? That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if I've given you your receipt. Maybe see that? Yeah. Because here it is.
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when I fell off the board. Oh, yeah. It was whatever, you know, and I just, it's interesting how much memory you got. And then it brings it, you know, that I want to start. You're learning that from me.